Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. In today's episode, we are building a floating pile driver. It's a kit from Foscale Models. All right, well, before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and be sure to click on that bell up in the corner to be notified when I upload new videos. All right, well, like always, we have a lot to do today, so let's get to it. Okay, well, before you get started with any kit, you should get familiar with the instructions. And I've already read through these a couple times. I'll show you. Pretty detailed, very detailed instructions. Nice that they have photos. Then, always reference, here is card A1. Shows you all the bracing, corner trim. A2 shows you more of the parts and assembling. A3 is a full-size template of one side. A4 is template for the other side. B is assembling the base. C, we're starting to put it all together. D, more assembly. And finally, E. Quick note, when you're bracing the walls, first put a mark on the bottom of each wall. Then draw a line across the top, because this sub roof gets put on there and it sits level with the top of the wall. So you want to make sure that bracing is below that line, even the front one. Now for the fun part, we get to stain the walls, and we'll be using stain from Best. So we're going to start with medium cherry brown. And we'll get a paper towel. I forgot a step, and maybe some of you caught it, but I forgot to put these two pieces of bracing in, and they go not to the edge, but they go to the edge of the inside of that opening. And then I move that one over and put it right next to the door. Now we're going to use burnt sienna. Okay, now we're going to do two more colors. We're going to do Glacier Bay. That's going to be next. And then while it's wet, we're going to add some shadow gray to the bottom to make it look like maybe it's damp at the bottom or it's rotting a little bit. And I'm going to go a little heavier about halfway down the wall. So you can see I put a single coat on, and then I'm going back in about halfway up and adding more. And these we'll just do a single coat. Now we'll switch to shadow gray. Now it's very important, we're going to hold the wall upside down, so that's how it goes. The bottom, we have our mark on the bottom of the wall. We're going to hold it upside down. You want to make sure you're doing this on the bottom of the wall. Now I'm using an oil brusher, and it is dark brown. So we just put a couple dots right at the bottom. Now we take our odorless thinner, we dab over those areas. It's still wet, but makes it look like maybe it's starting to rot a little bit at the bottom. Now for the final step on these walls, we're going to use bittersweet chocolate. We're just going to sponge on a little bit at the bottom. I want really fine little dots. Now we have to paint our corner trim and our doors and windows. And keep in mind that we are just working on the pilot house. There's another structure that sits on here that's separate, and you may want to do those doors a different color. So right now we're just focusing on this, the pilot house. And the trim, 16th inch trim, and you'll see for maybe beginners or first time people working with Foscale models, sorry, you'll see 1/16 the corner trim is marked green. So one of them was marked green, and I think there's only 2 of these in the kit. Be careful, because there's other thin boards in the kit that are similar, but they're color marked differently. I'll give you an example. These are very, very close. But see, this one is green and this one is black. But it's just, the black one's just a little bit smaller. So be careful. For our corner trim, I'm actually going to dip the sticks in black. Then let's see what the stain does on these. Okay, these are dry. I'm now going to go over them with murky brown. I think it's going to help match the corner trim a little better. You want to hold it flat so that the stain doesn't run off. But I can tell already that this matches the corner trim a lot better. Okay, so I just cut out the door and window that go to the little tool shed, and I'm going to set those up here because I want those a different color. So now all of this and my trim, I'm going to paint bittersweet chocolate. Okay, I'll go ahead and do these, and then we can cut our windows out, put acetate in, and start to assemble. Okay, I still was not happy with the trim color. So now I am going over them with burnt sienna. Sorry, I didn't want to tip that because I got the lid off of it. So first I stained all the trim, doors and windows with black stain. Then I sponged on bittersweet chocolate. Then after all that was dry, I'm now putting burnt sienna over them. And what's great is it doesn't have to be all solid. You can treat the top of the door differently than the bottom of the door. There would be more paint chipping. It would be dirtier looking at the bottom of the door. Okay, I actually did one more wash. I did dark rust. You can see it's a reddish. Added a lot of water to it. And went over those frames. I'll show you here. So these two frames have that red wash over them, and the doors do not, so you can see the difference. So I'm working on the windows, and there is pre-cut acetate. Hopefully you can see this. So as you can see, I've assembled the structure. I did some dry brushing on it. Now you can really see the cracked and broken windows. I got some bird poop on there. Next, we have to build our tower vents. Now, I made a mistake. There are 4 long pieces, 1/8 inch thick pieces in the kit. So you have an angle one, a tall one, another tall one, and then another angle one. I used one of the long ones and cut it to brace the structure. So my 4th one is close to a 1/4 inch too short. Now thankfully I have wood in my shop, so I'll cut that piece. But if you're building this at home, make sure that you leave the 4 long 1/8 inch thick pieces for this tower. And they're the only 4 pieces. You'll see how long these are compared to the rest of them. So when you open the kit, set aside your 4 long pieces. But I'll go ahead and cut one out of this. Okay, to build our vents, we're going to build it on foam. And this is just pink insulation foam. Okay, sorry about that. I recorded a bunch with the microphone off, and I basically was explaining that there's two ways to apply the castings of the nut bolts and washers. You can drill a hole and then cut them at the base and stick them in the hole, or you can take your straight blade and cut them off and then just take tweezers and pick them up and put a drop of glue and put it in place. And I put it on the tape so that when you cut it, the little castings don't go flying off and you don't lose them. So I just lowered the main piece so that you could see how it comes off. So hopefully all that makes sense. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to put my little drops of glue, and then with tweezers I'll drop those all in place. Very tedious. Okay, next we're going to start on the base. Very simple instructions. So the first thing I did was I glued in the center, and it was a pretty tight fit, so I actually tapped it in with a small hammer. Then I put the two sides on, then the front, and you can see everything fits together nice. Then I'm starting to put on the 2x10s that go on the side. Now it's very important that you flip it upright and that you start at the bottom. So you put your first board on the bottom, then stack another one on top, and then finally your third one. Now it's important to note that there's a space at the top, and that's how it's supposed to be. The boards don't go all the way up flush with the top. There's a space because we're going to put trim on there later. Okay, so this side is done. You can see the three boards. So now I'll do this side. I'll trim those, then do this side. It gets a single board right there, and there's boards that go on the angled part straight across. Next, I'm going to try something I've never done before. I'm going to seal this wood because I don't want it to have a real wood grain texture to it. I want it to be more flat, maybe to give it more of the wood has been sealed, or maybe it's even metal. I don't know. I haven't done any research to know what the bottom of a barge looks like, but we're going to try this. So we're using white Elmer's glue. Get my brush wet. You can see it's dirty water. Now we're going to brush over the wood. And we're going to be very careful not to get it on that upper part. We're just going on the wood that we just put on there. Again, very important not to get it on that upper part. Okay, now we'll let that dry, and then we'll take some fine sandpaper and go over it. And you can do that 2 or 3 times to get it really nice and smooth, and you could actually then paint it and make it look like it was metal or steel. Okay, so I let that completely dry, and I'm actually going to give it one more coat. I have not sanded it yet. We'll give it one more coat and we'll let that dry, and then we'll sand it. Again, be very careful not to get it on that top part, because there's a piece of trim that fits in there. So now let's set this to the side and let it completely dry. And next, let's build our little shed. Let me grab the instructions so that you can see this little shed right here. So it's pretty simple. We'll just cut this out, put some bracing on the inside of it. We can then spray paint it all black and then put the battens on there. So before I fold my cardboard pieces like this, I like to just run my blade in that crack. I'm not pressing very hard, just dragging it along that crack so it folds a little better. Okay, now we'll grab some of our bracing and we'll put the first piece in that corner where it folds together and glue it so it stays, and then we'll do the other 3 corners. Now we'll add all of the wood to the side. Again, I'll show you the instructions. Now that wood is the thinnest wood in the kit. And the wood that we added on the side of this is the widest wood in the kit. So double check, because there's a lot of different sizes of strip wood in this kit. So just double check before you start to cut or glue anything. And always you can refer to your chart. Mine is now all glued, but it'll give you the measurements and the color coding. And if they're not, if the colors aren't on here, it'll say, like for instance, the wood on here, it says in the instructions that it's the thinnest wood in the kit. So these aren't marked on the ends, but they're the thinnest ones in there. So this is what I use. So let's go ahead and stain these, and I'm going to stain them aged barnwood. It's a pretty light gray, so we may add raw umber to it. First, I need a paper towel. We'll dip them in the raw umber, see what it looks like. Okay, I really like the look of that. More of a grayish tan. Now we're going to take light wood. It matches it pretty good. And we're going to take our door and window and paint them. And we're just kind of dry brushing these. Just lightly dragging our brush over them. Okay, so as you can see, I finished the little shed. So after I got the boards on there, I first went in with City Dark Dust. Then, towards the very bottom, I went with Farm Dark Earth. Then, I put some little spots at the bottom with an oil brusher, dark brown, and then used mineral spirits to sort of blend it in. Now, back to this. Let's take 220 grit sandpaper. Now we're going to take Old Rust, now we're going to take polished metal. First we're going to hit the corners. Now we're going to take a rust color. It's kind of an orange rust color. We're going to do just a little bit of this. I'm really going around those silver areas. So we're going to do a wash. Now this is enamel. So we're going to get out our thinner. I'll have to let this dry to really get the effect. Yeah, it's too wet. Okay, so I just kept playing around with it, and this is what I've come up with. Now I'm taking a satin varnish from Ammo, and I already put some on this side, and this is water based, so very easy. Goes on kind of milky. Now for the final step on this, I took light rust pigment and a very, very tiny stubby brush, and just went into the center of the major rust spots and then sort of drug it down. Okay, maybe real quick, I'll just take some regular steel and paint my corners and edges. I really hope that's showing up. Really helps it look like steel. Okay, next we have to make the deck for this. And all of the wood for the decking comes in one bag. So we'll cut this open and stain all this. Let's get a paper towel, and we're going to start with raw umber. Okay, now we're going to dip it into black, but I'm not going to shake the bottle, and we're just going to do it very, very quickly. Now we're going to take Glacier Bay, which is a blue. We're going to shake it good. This is pretty full, so we can't dip all of them at once. Okay, I am back. I actually walked away from this project for a day. After I set this structure on there, I was not happy with the look because I loved how gray this wood came out and all the wood on the tower here, and this structure was looking a little too reddish, or had a little bit of an orange tint to it. And so I just didn't know what to do. I wasn't happy with the direction it was going. And then it dawned on me. I took Glacier Bay, which you can see has a blue tint to it, which I put on all of this, and I simply brushed on that over the entire thing except for the window frames and the two doors. But all of the wood got that, and it really added a gray tint to it. And I'm so much happier with the look of it now. It really aged it, and it just matches. I feel like it just goes so much better with this now. All right, we still have a long way to go on this. Lots of details. I have to add the cables that go up to operate this. So let's get back to work. Okay, so before you glue the structure in place, you build this little rigging that holds the lines. Then you tie two separate strings to that run from there all the way up and down, and just leave them loose. So put them through the structure, then glue your structure in place. So I did that, and here's where we're at. I then, after it was glued in place, I put a corrugated metal roof on the top. Now for the corrugated metal, I used light rust wash. Well, first I sprayed a gray primer on the corrugated sheets. And these are from Foscale Models. You can see they're tan. They come tan. I put a gray primer on it. Then I used light rust wash, and all I did was took my brush and dipped it into the wash, and then just put a few dots and just let it run down. And then take your odorless thinner and sort of blend it out. Very easy to do. Then use some light rust pigments. I sponged on dark rust and old rust. So just experiment with these. It really, I think, gives it a very realistic look. Oh, and then I added a railing to this side. Now in the kit, they suggest doing a wood fence right there. And let me show you the picture. And this is to hold the pilings and to keep them from rolling off the barge. Well, I decided to do metal railings, and they are from Tichy Train Group. These are short ones. I used a long one, and then just applied the same rust colors. Let's see, old rust, dark rust, and some just another rust color. Okay, now we need to add our pulley wheel to the very top, and then a weight in the front, and then one long piling. And then we'll start to add all of our details, and we need to weather the deck, dirty it up. I need to dirty the tower, add some rust streaks. I'm gonna put probably lots of bird poop on this. Really give it an aged look. This was such an incredible build. I thoroughly enjoyed building this, and I think because it was all new. I've gotten so used to building structures, and with this kit, I was really forced to follow the instructions step by step, use all the diagrams. It was just such a fun build for me. And again, if you're building this at home, just follow the great instructions provided. There's great drawings with it. Yours can easily look like mine, if not better. Foscale Models has just done such a great job with this kit. So be sure to visit their website at foscalemodels.com. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.